Hey, what's happening, everybody? Brian Silva here for How to Be PJ. Today, like promised, I'm going to bring on another special guest, and I appreciate all the guests that come on. And this guy, I mean, for sure, you guys have been asking a lot about the SR pipeline, the newly established changeover from the Saudi. So I got a lot of questions from you guys, and this person that I'm going to bring on, he's in charge of doing the pipeline and making sure that you guys are going to be functional, setting up the mission set of what they're going to be doing, and we'll get a lot into that later on in the video. First, I want to say thank you for you guys that are joining today. I appreciate all of you guys that watch all the time, and like I say all the time, I do this for you guys to make sure that you're as prepared as possible and you make the right decision for yourself, because we don't want guys that don't want to do the job. We want guys that are ready to go and have their whole heart and body into this job, and they've burned the boats. So a couple things that I want to share with you guys prior to us starting this interview. I know some of you guys might not have seen the last video or some of the other stuff I've been putting out, but the Comm Connect is live. So the Comm Connect, all these things that I'm talking about right now are free resources for you guys to connect. I've been getting a lot of emails from everyone else getting together and working out, training. So that's really great to see. And literally, the Comm Connect, you just go to beapj.com under the resources tab, and then you go to the Comm Connect. You're able to see all the people that are around you. There's a map, so you can zoom into your area and then find whoever's around in your area, and then link up with them, whatever resource that they want to put out. So if you want to put out your phone number, your Instagram handle, your Facebook, whatever kind of source that you want people to contact you through, you're allowed to put that in there, and then you're allowed to, obviously contact people. And it's just for you guys. I'm not going to be contacting you guys through any of this stuff. No recruiters are going to contact you through any of that. And, of course, no other businesses are allowed to. If any of that happens, let me know. And if I contact, I'm not going to contact you. But, if you get anything from me, then it's not meant to be like that and there's a glitch or something. So there's that. Then I released a fact page for all the answers that I've had, thousands of emails compressed down into a couple hundred. So couple hundred high yield type of questions that I get all the time. So you guys please take these resources and look up that stuff. I have a STO page, gonna have an EOD page coming out soon, and then SR page was all these people I didn't answer myself. These are from the actual career field, that the respective career field from the answers. So Trent Siegmiller, he's the guy that's gonna be coming on today, and it's like I said, it's an honor to be able to bring you guys this information, because this is important stuff, and I know this is your career and this is what you're planning to do, hopefully for the long term, so you guys can get a lot of experience and experience all the stuff that we've been able to do in our career. So long-time South T guy, and I appreciate him coming on here. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys real quick, so I promised you guys a flag a while ago. So the Burn the Boats flag right there. That's going to be live up on the website soon, so you guys are able to purchase that stuff, because I like flags, and it's motivating to just have in my gym to remember, look up while you're having a difficult workout or whatever. But, all right, so we're going to get into these questions real quick, and, like I said, we're going to answer all of your guys' questions as much as possible once we're done answering these high-yield questions that I've been getting from a lot of people. So without further ado, let me try and get this to go. We'll get Trent Siegmiller here on here. Like I said, we'll try and get to all your questions right after we're done. For sure, we want to make sure you guys get all the stuff. There he is. All right, good to go. So this is Trent Siegmiller. Worked with him down when I was at Indoc, and he's been an instructor down there for a long time. So if you don't mind just introducing yourself to these guys.
Hey guys, I'm Trent Siegmiller. I've been a SAUT/SR for about 16 years. I helped stand up the SAUT pipeline the first time around, and now that we're SR, I'm helping stand up the new SR capabilities. So I've kind of seen it all. I've seen the regular weather with some shreds to the SAUT and now SR transition. And it all makes sense from my perspective, the way that we've been going. But if it doesn't make sense to you guys, that's kind of why we're here today, to explain to you kind of the direction that we've been heading for a long time. And this is just a formalization of all the stuff that we've been working towards ever since I joined. So it's
for sure,
big thing.
Well, yeah, like I said before, I want to thank you for coming on here and helping these guys out because, like I said, I've been getting just a ton of questions from everybody about what this SR is because it sounds, a lot different. Reconnaissance versus, special operations weather. It kind of broadens the scope of the things that you're able to do and the things that these guys are going to be able to do in the future. And I know that there's some big plans, especially for not just for SR, but as a whole, the special warfare branch of the Air Force. Like I know I'm going to be releasing a reserve video that I did with one of the other guys, and he was talking about just so many different things that we're going to be doing in the future, and it's kind of mind blowing what these guys are going to be experiencing compared to what we, were able to do. So,
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out here, and like I said, Trent's on the same page as me. We're just trying to give you guys information that way. You can come into this wholeheartedly and then actually progress through the career field and do the mission, so you guys can be more prepared than we were when we first came in here. So, without further ado, we'll get into the first question right here. So, transition from SAL-T and now to SR. What is the difference in the overall mission set?
So, I don't want to be too long-winded about all this stuff. A lot of history. So, basically, we started out as weather guys that helped the Army SF guys back in the day. We've slowly drifted away from that, and at the end of the SAL-T career field, what we ran into was we were doing environmental reconnaissance and trying to branch into the regular special reconnaissance stuff, which is kind of what AFSOC wanted us to do. So AFSOC was like our daddy, and like big Air Force weather was like our mom. Mom and dad got divorced. Dad got custody. So we fell in on all the stuff that we've been working towards for a long time. So environmental reconnaissance is still a piece of what we do because we are in the Air Force and we're working towards solving Air Force problems first, and then the enabler mission after that. So we will still speak weather, which is not unusual. You talk to a combat controller, attack P, anybody that deals with air-to-ground integration, these things matter. We will not be forecasting, though. So the 7-month forecasting school and all that other stuff is long gone. So the way we're setting up the courses is not like you're learning weather and then reconnaissance. It's all just special reconnaissance. And if you dig into the SOCOM pubs, it's all there. So basically, we're doing what SOCOM tells us special reconnaissance is. And so we're going to do reconnaissance, long-range target interdiction. Everybody's like, does that mean sniper? Not for everybody. Everybody's not meant to be a sniper, right? But like, it's definitely a possibility. It's just like getting through the pipeline. You get what you earn, and part of it's being in the right place at the right time and proving that you deserve to do what you want to do. There's also another part of the career field, which is the surveillance part. So just like sniper, the secret squirrel type reconnaissance, or I'm sorry, surveillance work is not for everybody, but there's going to be kind of two different branches. So we're going to have, the way I described it is there's going to be the ghillie suit dudes, and there's going to be the civilian clothes guys. So as we move forward with the Air Force centric mission, we're going to make sure that we open up all the avenues that the Air Force could use and provide all the intelligence and data to the Air Force and our joint partners to ensure mission success with the missions going forward in that region. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that sounds like a huge transition from, I guess, let's just put it out there, like, SAL-Ts have been a little bit, I guess, like a little bit lesser, I guess, than some of the other career fields because they haven't been able to get as much light in what you guys have been doing. But from what I understand, what you're telling me, like all these guys have been really actually executing a lot of this stuff in the meantime, but there's just not a lot of publicity about these guys going to this other branch. So really it's just kind of a rebranding of stuff that you guys have actually been doing, but unfortunately it hasn't been as publicized as some of the other missions and stuff that other guys have been doing. So I think it's a step, in the right direction for you guys, and as Air Force Special Warfare as a whole, going to be able to actually go down and execute the mission, and that way you guys get the praise that you rightfully deserve, because I know that you guys have actually been working hard and you guys have been jobbing out there for sure. So,
yeah. I mean, that's not why we do it, right? Any of us,
obviously,
like
no one does it for any recognition, but for those guys that are coming out here and they're seeing, like the stories about other guys doing stuff and, like the SEALs and the whoever, like they're doing all this crazy stuff. Like, obviously no one joins this career field for any of the recognition. No one wants to be a star or anything like that when they join. They're not trying to like, oh, send me a friggin' book deal or whatever. everyone's trying to do it so they can actually work and do the mission. But I just want to bring to light that you guys have actually been jobbing out and actually doing stuff. And Sauti, people think like, oh, they're just weather guys that go out with whoever. So, and that's obviously not the case. It's not just a weather guy that goes out there and holds a freaking kestrel to take wind readings or anything like that.
Right. I mean, yeah, that stuff's important, but yeah, it's like I said, and I know, but for everybody else, we have all the skill sets that we're going to be training to formally already within the career field, within our guys. The sniper, the surveillance stuff, it's just not formalized process. So it's hard once you get on team to try to plus up your skill sets to meet mission requirements of your current boss. And having that weather name attached to what we were doing sometimes did, it made you work a little bit harder to execute the mission. So it's a good transition.
Absolutely. So you were mentioning that you're still working under the SOCOM umbrella. You pretty much took the publications from SOCOM and you're saying, okay, this is how we're going to match our career field in the future to exactly look that way. We're formatted and we can say like, hey, General so-and-so, we're this qualified per SOCOM directive, blah, blah, blah. So how is it going to be different, and how is the Air Force going to integrate recon jobs differently than, say, like, Marines and all the other recon jobs that are out there?
So I think this is a good time for me to just say that this is not like official Air Force stuff coming out of my mouth. It's Trent Segmiller saying this stuff. I wanted to say that earlier, and I'm sorry. I just want to make clear that I'm not like an official Air Force representative right now. But so when we talk to our Marine partners, and we have a lot of guys that are talking to those guys right now, the Marines work for the Marines. We're going to work for the Air Force. And there's a lot of joint missions out there that we're still going to cover down on. But as far as I understand it, the requests for reconnaissance downrange, there are more requests than the DoD has reconnaissance guys available right now. And so we're going to be able to focus on the stuff that the Air Force needs first, and then also work into the joint environment, just like we always have, to cover down on any of the missions that absolutely need to happen. So when it comes to, like, I guess in the environmental reconnaissance piece is a good example, right? The air-to-ground integration, air solutions for ground problems is kind of our motto across, the special warfare. Most of us is so we just kind of look at everything from a different standpoint. We put a different flavor on it. So like when I go into say I go into an airport in another country, I already speak weather. I might have a controller with me that speaks combat control. It gives you the language for access. And then the way that we look at that is, how do we get this opened up, and how do we use the assets, or even a dirt airstrip in the middle of nowhere? How do we get the Air Force here to accomplish the mission? How do we get the air assets to the ground to accomplish the mission, type of thing? So I'm not sure that's what makes sense to me.
More air integration than the other people can provide, because obviously we're the Air Force, and obviously you guys, along with CCTs, are able to establish airstrips and forecast that part so you guys can execute the mission. So okay. And then this is not one of the questions here, but I was just interested. So you were saying civilian clothes. I know I was throwing you off here. We have a script. We always have a script for all this stuff, and we're trying to be as prepared as possible. But I'm sure this one will be pretty easy for you. So you're saying civilian clothes wearer versus a sniper guy. So how does that differentiate, and at what point, and kind of like tasks, I guess, that people should be expecting for each different branch?
I'm trying to figure out what to say based on all the pieces of paper we've all signed. So it's more of an order of war, right? So before we start putting official boots on the ground and stuff like that, phase 0 warfare type of activities is kind of where we come in before we start jumping in with our recon guys, and then the assaulters or the airplanes come in and all that other stuff. So I'm trying not to be cagey about this stuff. I don't want to say it's classified over and over and over again, and people think that I'm blowing smoke sometimes. But I'm super hesitant to say too much about that arena, the civilian close side of the arena.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of just before everything else. and working with other partners that maybe we don't always work with in different places. So I don't know how to explain it better than that without,
there you go.
Clearance.
That's good enough. So yeah, that's good stuff, and that's good enough right there. That's all I wanted you to touch on, is just basically you're going to be doing other stuff that people don't, conventional forces aren't going to be able to do. Normal boot wearers that are going out with whatever uniform. So just go out there, do whatever you can do, and then set up space, basically.
And I will say, I think the entire special warfare community is moving to that area. There's the way that it's been put to me is we're trying to get more gray. So in between kind of like the white soft and the black soft, we're trying to be gray again. So everybody's kind of moving in this direction of working into that arena in one way or another. So it's not just us, it's kind of everybody.
Yeah. Oh, and I saw somebody ask if there's a tier 1 SR, and there have been tier 1 Southees, so that's yes, that there are definitely going to be tier 1 SR guys. So and then as far as, I think we already touched on the next question that we had written down here about like why did it change from Southee, basically rebranding kind of stuff. But as far as the officer side of the house, you guys have Southee officers switching into SR officers. What do you think it's going to be like? Is it going to be the same traditional role, or is it going to be kind of integrated? Because I know everyone's asking, like, the stows and crows are integrating. So what's going to happen to Southee officers?
So I actually asked, so traditionally since we fell into the weather career field, and I'm not trying to disparage any of the guys that were considered Southee officers in the past, because some of them are good friends of mine and they're great dudes, but officially on paper, they were still weather officers. So there's no such thing as a Southee officer officially. And so right now it's not really a thing. So as we stand up the 19 Zulu career field for the officers, the special warfare guys, I asked this, they were all in town the other day, and I went to the boss man in charge and I looked at him and I said, I just want to know for a fact that you guys are going to be my boss. And that's not really how I said it, but in essence, that's what I said. And they absolutely. So the 19 Zulu, the new special warfare officers are going to cover down on everybody. So they're going to make sure that as they go through their training, they see and participate in enough of the SR training to feel comfortable utilizing all of the guys under their command.
Okay. Okay. So
can I say something about the
sure.
rebranding thing real quick?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the weeds too much. This is more of a me thing because everybody's like, oh, you just changed the name. It was a little more than a name change, and it wasn't like the guys in the career field were like, we want to change the name. I mean, we have for a long time, but some of us have for a long time. But it was more like a specific mission-driven task from Headquarters Air Force, the way that they saw it. So they saw an opportunity to take Southee as it was, and we're pretty close unofficially to where they wanted to go. But looking forward in the future, they created a new career field. So we're not just like slapping a new name on it. It's not just a fresh coat of paint. We're going to change all the training. We're going to change not the mindset or anything like that, because we all kind of fell into the special warfare stuff anyway. But it's a brand new thing. It's not just a new sticker and a new beret or anything like that. We're changing it all.
Sweet. All right. So going into that, about changing all the stuff that you were doing. So let's talk about the pipeline. I know traditionally you said that they're already taking out some of the weather school aspect of the pipeline, and you're not really going to be specifically weather related type of thing. You're still going to do some of the stuff that has to do with setting up LZs, of course, but not as much weather related. So can you go into, kind of how the pipeline is going to change, and then I guess start out with, guys are still doing like prior enlisted and officers are doing phase 2, you're joining with the CCT guys or the stows. And then once you go from there, what does the pipeline look like for SR versus the PJ CCT type pipeline?
Right. So so for the prior enlisted guys coming over, you will have to do the phase 2. So you put in your phase 1 packet. So it's all the paperwork to the career field manager. They approve you. They set you up with a date to go to phase 2. So phase 2, I believe, is still a week out of Hurlburt Field with the combat controllers. So we do a combined phase 2. And then we put you through the ringer, and then we decide whether to pick you up or not. So you kind of have to earn the right to get into the pipeline. So you're not like a made man at that point or woman. And then you get to start the pipeline. You basically roll into ANS. So for the guys, the officers and the prior enlisted guys coming over, we do have a kind of a 2-week course when they get on the ground. We run a little assessment, make sure that they're still good to go, and we try to give them some tools to make them successful through ANS, since ANS, the new selection course, is just stood up, and to make sure that they know what they're getting themselves into. The non-prior service guys work with their developers before they come in.
Sorry, real quick. So you're saying the 2-week prep, is that going to be at all integrated with the actual other prep guys that are non-prior service, or is that going to be a separate thing completely?
Right. So right now, the way that they're running it is it's a separate thing. Obviously, this is right now information. So if you end up joining in a few years and you're like, that's not what Trent Segmiller said, I'm sorry.
Yeah, all of these things, the whole pipeline has been in flux for everybody for the last year. So you guys stay up to date. I'm trying to keep you guys as much up to date as possible, but just realize that things are going to evolve and change just like ANS has for the past year.
But yeah, it's been a little crazy. But so the non-prior service guys, that they're going to work with the developers, go to BMT. BMT, you will have a little more time to work out in the morning, and that's mostly just to keep you in shape. So we're not trying to let guys get out of shape. And then you go to prep. I help stand prep up, so I have a little bit of an attachment to it. It's 8 weeks. It's long. It's a grind. We're not trying to wash you out. We're just trying to physically prepare you and mentally prepare you for what's coming next. So guys are like, it's a waste of time. I'm not whatever. I thought I was ready when I joined. If everybody was ready when they got there, we wouldn't have stood up prep. So I'm not trying to be combative about it, but that's what it is. And we have it's a state-of-the-art facility. We hired the best coaches and everything. It's not very militaristic though. So keep your head on your shoulders. Don't get complacent. Take everything that you can and move forward. So after prep, everybody combines for ANS. ANS is our new selection course. It's a combination of physical and attributes, right? So we're not just looking for big dumb animals. We're looking for guys that are good people, that are problem solvers, that are operator top guys. I don't just need you to move rocks. I need you to be able to use your brain. So that's why we stood that up. And so like PJs, CCT, and SAUT, or excuse me, I'm old. SR. Yeah. We'll all go through that together, and then pre-dive, dive, and then airborne, SEER, free fall. Not necessarily in that order, minus airborne and free fall. Airborne has to come first. So the pipeline through that point is the same for PJ, CCT, and SR. Now after that, I don't want to be too vague on this, but we're pulling some of the weather stuff out. So I'm not trying to. There's still decisions to be made by my boss's boss. So I briefed some guys the other day. The plans are in place, but we will have a standalone. If I get my way, which I always get my way, we should have a standalone SR apprentice course. So we'll probably go through a basic skills type training, land warfare training, with a joint with the PJs of the controllers, and then a standalone SR apprentice course where we'll learn all facets of the traditional recce side of the house. So everything, so we're not going to be doing a lot of surveillance or anything like that, but you're recce, you're in the woods, you're sneaking around, you're stalking, all that stuff. And I'm going to get you guys as many reps as I can, be the best training possible. We're working really hard to make sure that we're working with, the best in the business, to make sure that that's, I'm very, very invested in making sure that this program is as good as it possibly can be. So
yeah, and that's a huge change. I mean, that you guys get airborne and free fall now, because I know in the past it hasn't been that way at all. It's like you guys get airborne, and most of you guys didn't get dive at all, and then so that's a huge change, and that's awesome that you guys. So it's pretty much like everyone is on the same level with a specialized skill set, branching off from that traditional pipeline that the PJs and CCTs exclusively had in the past. So now it's going to be PJ, CCT, and SR that are going to be qualified in all three of those things: airborne, dive, and then as well as Halo school. So
yeah, I don't want to suck up to you too much, but we basically stole the PJ model. We said, guys broke away from this back in the day. We're coming back. We're coming back to the PJ model. It's what we jumped back onto.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And that's setting up for, you know, the vision that's going to be 10 years in the future that I'm sure, you know, you're aware of, like the next vision 10 years in the future is going to be a lot more of like a unilateral type of thing from what I'm hearing, and a lot more, I guess, interchangeable type of stuff. So we're the Air Force, so we have plenty of airframes and plenty of assets that we can utilize, unlike some of the other, you know, some of the other branches that just don't have as many air assets. They're more ground or whatever oriented. So utilizing all the assets that we have and the training that we have and the funding and within these specialized communities, because as we all know, how many SR guys are there now in the Air Force?
Less than 100 right now, I think.
Less than 100. So that means that you guys go through and less than 100 guys get all of this funding to go and do this mission that you guys are going to do. See, and people think about it in a perspective. There are thousands of SEALs, thousands of Green Berets. So all that money has to be kind of spread out evenly amongst most of these units that are out there. So funneling under 100 dudes money in order to actually go and execute the mission, that's huge to be able to go and do that stuff, because, you know, spreading out thousands to 100, that's a big difference in like what you're going to do.
As an example, yeah, like on my last rotation, we linked up with some SEALs to, they were they were actually supporting us. They were our security element. The SEAL team leader walked up to me and was like, you know, your guys. He's like, where'd you get that helmet? And I'm like, I had this helmet for like 3 or 4 years. I don't know. They just gave it to me. And he's like, well, we just barely got ours. You know, like something like that. But I'm just like, it kind of drives it home that we're well taken care of. Expectations are super high, but we're taken care of.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the best thing about the Air Force as a whole. I mean, there's only like 400 PJs, and same thing for CCT guys. So it's a small community and everyone knows each other. I'm sure that you pretty much know everybody in the SR community, and you know, it's kind of the same for CCTs, PJs. We all work in the same circles and we know each other. So you're gonna at some point establish a relationship with guys, which is why I think it's important for you guys to start your relationship now, talk to each other, because, you know, we didn't have social media. We didn't have all this stuff when we were younger, and we didn't have all these abilities to go out there, reach out, train with each other, and work together to, you know, be a team before you even show up. That would be the ideal. Like, you guys know each other, you're working together, you're already, you know, just hitting on whatever stuff you got to hit on before you even show up. That way, once you actually hit prep, you're like, this is just refining minute little details. That way you're ready to go and ready to rock. So when they step up to your door, you're like, oh, Trent Siegmiller, I saw you, and you're, you know, I look up to you and all the stuff that you do, and I appreciate you. And then you can just be like, all right, you got all the physical and most of the mental attributes, and only work this thing and shape you into the operator type that we want to see out there in the field. That way, because you're shaping the future of, you know, the SR career field from what you're saying in the pipeline and the mission set and all the people that you're talking to. Like you said, making sure that you guys have an executable mission that is going to be in high demand in the future. So
yeah, no problem. Right.
And then all right, so let's go into, we already talked about so the next question was operationally. Do you want to say anything else about operational type of stuff? I guess deployment type of stuff or any of that, what it looks like. Is it the same like traditional 4 months, once a year type of thing, or is it going to be kind of sporadic more and stuff just for guys that have families or are concerned about being
out? I got this question a lot of prep. I got this question when I was an instructor at Keesler, and we always end up telling them the same thing. No two deployments are alike. You're going to be busy. If you're a worker, you're going to be busy, and everybody's a worker that makes it, right? So you know, the traditional JORT cycle and 6-month deployments are pretty normal. I think 5 to 6 month deployments now. But I've never, when I'm on team, I've never run out of stuff to keep me out of town. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there are always more schools, more skill sets, sometimes to the detriment of my home life a little bit. Yeah. I love being on team. I love learning new skills. I love getting better at my craft. So this is not something that you get into and think that you can, this is not something that fits into a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell guys other than that. because we work on all the continents, we work with all the services. There's the missions vary wildly, so you just get on the ground and do your job for a lot of different people in a lot of different places. So yeah, I don't, because if I start giving specifics, I'm always worried that some guy's going to come back to me and be like, you told me that it was going to be like this. And I'm like, I told you to just be, flexible as possible and to do your job and to work as hard as possible. And I told you that in my experience, it pays off. So that's what I try to tell guys is I love deploying. I love training. So yeah, operationally and it's not like after the pipeline ends, you stop being judged and your opportunities just come to you just because you got your beret. It's the same mentality. You still got to work hard, and the harder you work, the luckier you get when it comes to your deployments and what you can get yourself into and how big of a difference you can make. So that's I think that's about what I got to say about that.
And yeah, I mean, it's important to manage expectations for guys because, when they come in, it's not always a traditional type of cycle where you're 18 months off or whatever, and then you go and deploy for 4 to 6 months. So, and I tell guys the same thing, like there's going to be a lot of days where you're not home. And, like myself, when I first joined as a PJ, I was over in England at the STS, and I was gone over 300 days in the first year that I was there, amongst most of it was TDYs and some of it was deployment, but you're just gone all the time as part of the job. And if you have a family, then you have to manage expectations. So I just want to hear, from your side, if there were any different plans for that kind of stuff. And as far as, being stationed and stuff, you're traditionally somewhat with the Army or Air Force, because I know guys are switching back and forth between that. Is that going to be changing, or is that?
Yeah, so in 2014, we stopped having like SR SAU-T position only with the Army guys, so we're all at the STSs now. So more to come, assuming certain things get signed and we all become one big happy family at some point. But right now it's at the STSs. All my guys are. So like, what is it? Washington, Hurlburt, North Carolina. I mean, you can look it up. It's not classified.
Yeah, make sure you guys look up the STS units. I just want to clarify for guys that have been, reading that the SAU-T guys were always like sent with the Army and you have to stay at an Army base or potentially this and that. So just want to clarify for guys on that. All right, let's see. We talked about that, being stationed places. All right, and then talked about prior service a little bit versus first term airmen. And then can you talk about the pass test a little bit and what that looks like in different, my understanding is they're all one level playing field now and everyone goes in there, whatever you pass. So can you say kind of what it looks like now once you get a high score or whatever? Like, are you still able to go into whatever kind of job that you want to go into, or what does that look like?
So this is one of those things that's in flux right now. We're trying to, crack the code on how to make it a little more open for guys. Because, it's hard, I think, on the outside to really understand what you're getting yourself into. And they don't get a lot of, FaceTime with current active duty operators, right? So sometimes when guys get to prep, they're like, oh, I didn't really know anything about TAC-P, and now I want to be XYZ or whatever it is. Or some guys want to go TAC-P. I don't want to, belittle my TAC-P bros. Great guy. So right now, I think it's still the past is the same for everybody. So it's the underwaters, the pull-ups, the push-ups, the sit-ups. Not necessarily in that order. The pull-ups, sit-ups and push-ups, and then the 1.5 mile run. So I know the 1.5 mile run is like 10:10 across the board for us now. Mm-hmm. The 500 meter swim is 11:42. Something like that.
Something like that.
Dude, I don't want to.
You guys can look it up. It's on VPJ.com.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's the same. So it's not like we're not trying to say, because in the past it's PJs was the hardest, so that's what everyone wanted to do, and I love the PJs, but we all kind of came up with our own standards, and I mostly just love Brian Silva, but so now it's like just trying to give guys and be like, look, the standards are all the same. You need to look at the job and see what meshes with you. So the ASVAB requirements are still different. I think ours is like a 66 general overall, and then you have to score at least a 50 on electrical Also, I'm not a recruiting expert. Reach out to your recruiters and figure out exactly what you need to do. But yeah, we're trying to make it as baseline as possible for everybody.
All right.
Answer the question.
I believe so. Probably someone has another question out there, I'm sure, but we'll get to those questions after we're done with this main core set of questions. So,
and just like we always say, sorry, last thing on the past is if you're barely passing the past, odds of you making it through like prep, almost zero. All right, the past, when we take the past, it should be the easiest workout of your week, that month. That's an easy workout. And I'm not trying to sound like a hard A or whatever, but it's just not that hard, guys, gals. So it should be easy.
That's what I'm saying. You should be able to crush this before you actually come in there, and it should be absolutely no problem. It's not like I barely got by on push-ups or I barely got by on sit-ups, because that's going to be hard to gain, especially through some of the other training that they're going to be putting you through. So make sure you're ready to go, because you have the time right now, and everyone knows there's no excuses. Even if you're working a job, whatever you're doing, you have to make your priorities, at the top, whatever it is, family, and then down to working out, down to whatever your goals are. So make sure that you're prioritizing stuff, because, Stranger Things and Game of Thrones, that shouldn't be up here versus you working out or whatever. So make sure you're getting that stuff in. That way when you show up on Trent's doorstep, you're ready to go, like we were talking about earlier. So if you guys are just joining in right now, let me just recap. This is Trent Sigmiller. He is an SR. He's been an instructor for a long time, and a previously known as a SAUT for a very long time, and now he's transitioning and he's coming in to develop the SR pipeline. Just so you guys are aware, I know some of you guys come in and out of these videos, so I just want to make sure you guys know who this is. Very credible resource for us. We're going over these questions here. So one of the other things I just wanted to touch on, just because you and I were both there whenever this stuff happened, just the significance of the SR abbreviation type of thing.
Yeah, so April 8th, 2016. So we had a former, we had an active shooter on Medina Annex. Lieutenant Colonel Schrader was the commander for all of us at the time. An individual went in there, had a bone to pick, or a perceived bone to pick, with the first sergeant over some perceived stuff. Anyway, he pulled out a gun. Colonel Schrader, who was a SAUT officer, jumped in between, saved the first sergeant's life, and ended up being fatally wounded. And he was killed, and then the individual turned the gun on himself. So as we were transitioning to the new career field, we've always talked about special reconnaissance. Colonel Schrader's operator initials were SR, and he'd been a lot of our commanders before he came to Medina. He was my commander before, so we only thought it fitting to kind of name the career field after him, to never forget what he did for all of us that day, and all the trainees. So he's a great guy. We still have memorial events on Medina every year, and yeah, that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah, and I think it's just important to bring up, because the people that have set their legacy before us, and that's who we kind of remember whenever we're going through these tough times, or like people are going through the selection. They should know that people will have it harder, and you never know when a situation is going to arise where you're going to have to actually do something and then defend those people that are around you, just like Colonel Schrader did. So yeah, he was both of our commanders when that incident happened, and yeah, I just wanted to bring him up just so people know the stuff that he did, and for his family out there, obviously, that are still have to live without him. But I'm sure they're strong and great people. I met them, and
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're doing well. All right, so moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always not a fun thing to talk about, but it's a good thing to bring up. So other questions that you want to talk about, or anything that we've covered that you want to go more in depth on? I know I had like something else that was more like fun related or whatever, but whatever kind of thing that you want to bring up, recap before we start going into these other more, I guess, minute, I don't know, more detailed questions.
Yeah.
More detailed questions that we have over here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just saying, I don't even know how to say, like, whether it's SR or PJ, CCT or TACP, right? So like I was in prep for a long time, and I tell everybody, like, man, I'm a SAUT/SR guy to the core, and I love my job and I love my mission, but it's because that's what I'm good at, right? And that's what I care about, and that's what I've been brought up with. But like, I think at the end of the day, like, guys just and gals, keep your eye on the prize. Our commandant at prep always said he wishes he had a microchip he could put into people's brains and just like transfer all his great experiences as a PJ into their brains so they would understand how worth it is, how satisfying it is. If you work hard, everybody kind of ends up in the same place. We all work together. We do crazy things in crazy places. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It gets nuts. And yeah, sometimes it's super hard, but like sometimes you come home and you're like, I can't believe I got paid to do this today. You know, like sometimes you come out of the plane at 18,000 feet at sunset, and like, you know, it's when you hear yourself breathing on the O2 and it's kind of calm and you're just falling, and you know, it's crazy. So yeah, in my experience, it's worth it. Like nothing has ever like held me back from being good. Being mission focused is what we're about. Like wearing the cool uniforms and the cool gear and having the best weapons and all this other stuff is not anything that I've ever been about. Like all the best operators are pretty humble guys, not trying to toot their own horn, which sounds weird since we're on Instagram, you know, live or whatever right now. We're just trying to put information out there.
We're not, yeah.
Accomplishing the mission is what it's all about. And in my experience, it's worth it, you know, and that's my soapbox, my speech, but I wouldn't be sticking around for this long if it was about money or gear or anything like that. Cause everybody's like, oh, you guys get paid more and all this other stuff. And that, you know, that's why you stick around. And I promise you, I can make a lot more money on the outside. Like, but I love the job. I love the camaraderie. I love the team. And it's not just my guys that I got really good friends across the spectrum of special warfare. So, and not to mention that, but like the Green Berets, the SOCOM bros that I got. So the experiences are priceless, and who you are and how you change as a person. I'm not jealous of the people coming to the pipeline because they're young. Not all of them are super young. I'm jealous of the process that they're about to go through and how much that will change them in some ways, and how much growth that they're about to experience. Like, because that's the best time is going through that and becoming the person you always wanted to be, and being able to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm who I always wanted to be, you know, and I accomplished all my goals. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Really
that was beautiful. I love that speech. Sounds like you rehearsed this and practiced it with some of the students that you talked to. But it's true. I mean, I wouldn't have ever dreamed that I would have done any of the stuff that I've been able to do. And it's really just, you know, the Air Force gives you so many opportunities. And like you said, I didn't start the channel because, like, you knew me before when I was at Indoc, and I wasn't a guy like, hey, look at me, like, pay attention to me or anything like that. I was definitely not one of those guys. You probably never even freaking saw me because I was just sitting there instructing, trying to, you know, talk to the students. But we're taking this opportunity on Instagram, not because we're trying to like, hey, I'm trying to like put my name out there and be this guy that whatever that people know or whatever. Just trying to make sure that guys know, like you said, it's hard to conceptualize what you're going to be able to do in the future. You see pictures and stuff on Instagram of guys going out and jumping out of planes and doing whatever. And that's awesome and stuff. But like you said, it's about just doing the mission and actually getting it done. At the end of the day, you come home, you lay in bed, and you're like, wow, I got to actually like make a difference. And I got to be at like a high level talking to these guys, saw this guy come home, helped out this team with this and that. And, you know, it's just a good feeling to do work. And I think that's what all of us that, you know, make it through selection we're meant to do, is go out and do work every single day as much as you can. That's why we're sitting here trying to tell you guys that are eager to do work and you're not satisfied with whatever you're doing right now, like, go out there and freaking work, do your job, and then go be satisfied with your life. That way you look back, you're like, yep, I did all that stuff, and you can tell your kids and be happy about it, satisfied with the things that you did, because time goes by really fast. Like, I'm sure you know, like we were talking about the old pictures that we had, you know, of us through the pipeline and stuff. I saw one of you when you were a lot younger. I'm sure there are some when I was a lot younger, and we never knew what was going to come next in our lives. So it's it's awesome that you're on here trying to help these guys, and same as me, like just make sure that we give these guys all the tools that they can have to succeed.
Yep.
All right. So you said you had some other things that you wanted to address with these guys. You had some other things that you wanted to highlight. So if you want to go into those details, you got to bring out the stack of notes that you got right there.
Holy cow. You guys got questions on questions. So first thing I would say is, and I used to harp on my students at prep about this. I was like, I'd hold up my phone and be like, you have all of the world's information right here. I know it's not always easy to find, but please do your own research. And it's not just about the career fields, but it's also about like fitness and nutrition, because none of that stuff is a one size fits all. So don't always just be like, I'm going to get this program from this person XYZ and think that it works. Like you probably need to modify it a little bit and figure out how your body works to maximize your potential. Not trying to crap on anybody's programs. They're great. I'm just saying, think as individuals. Sometimes it'll work out in the end. I think we covered most of this, honestly. I mean, there's some of them, and I think we covered it, like, how is this going to fit into my life, or how is it being married and all this other stuff. Like, and we get this a lot in the pipeline, and everybody, like, it's hard. Everything that's worth it is hard. So, yeah. Like, it's a lifestyle, like, and you have to have a life that you can fit into this. One of the things that made me successful, or as successful as I have been, I'm not saying I'm like the greatest operator that ever lived, is my willingness to say yes over and over and over again. Every time an opportunity came up, you just got to say yes, especially when you're young in your career. So, yeah, so one of them is like, how will the Special Reconnaissance missions expand past its special operations with a predecessor? And how will we, in comparison to like Marine Force Reconnaissance or the Army Long Range Surveillance teams, like what's the difference and all that kind of stuff? I think we touched on that, right? Like, we're Air Force guys, so similar skill sets. We're actually going to get some guys in to make sure that we're doing everything the right way. We have all the pubs, we have all the training, we'll train it the right way. So we just have a slightly different mission, you know? So actually, I'm not sure that there's that much stuff in here that I need to answer anymore.
Okay. How about, so guard reserve type of stuff?
That's the one.
What kind of units do you guys are working at the STS units, right? So like Kentucky, the Portland STS, and then some of the other STSs like out there. So you're still hiring SR guys through that avenue. And then I'm also the reserve guard guy that I talked to the other day. He said there's a specific POC that's for every unit that answers all the questions for all that stuff. So what does it look like if a guy wants to go that route?
So I'm not in the Guard, never been in the Guard, sorry. As far as I know, the best way to get to it is to find someone at that unit or to contact that state's Guard agency. Because as far as I understand, they hire you first. And I know PJs do a really good job of this. Most of the PJ candidates that come from the Guard or the Reserve that come through the BMT and prep and all that stuff are very, very prepared. So they actually start kind of working at their unit before they even got there. And so those units are typically, they take a vested interest in those guys before they even start to go to BMT and all of that, before they put them in the pipeline. So we do have the two STSs, Kentucky and Portland, and we have a few slots at each one of those. So I would reach out to those states' Guard bureaus or however that works, and see if you can wiggle that answer out. I'll try to find something. I'll reach out to my recruiter contacts and see if they know anybody that recruits for the Guard and Reserve, and post it on the page. I know that seems to be a big question, but there's not that many slots.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as the Reserve as a whole, that's kind of what I tell guys is they're kind of hiring you for the long term, just like any other company, because a lot of the guys that go to the Reserve units or Guard units, they stay there for 20 years or even more, because that's just kind of the nature of the Guard. You're doing another job while you're doing the job of PJ, CCT, SR. So they kind of have to hire you based on your personality, and you kind of have to do that. And like I said, I'll go deeper into that in my next video that I'm going to put out on YouTube. We already did it, but it's just going to come out next weekend. And this video, by the way, for all of you guys that are asking, is also going to go up on the YouTube channel. So you guys can, if you miss something, reference it after we're done with this. And it's also going to be saved here on my stories. So you can reference it for the next 24 hours here, or go out to YouTube and check it out. Additionally, make sure that you guys are checking out the resources. Just like Trent was saying, you know, we have families and we have jobs and we have all these other things too. So put in the work that you need to do, just like in any other job that, you know, if you're going to go ask a question, make sure that you've done your research before you go ask the question. That way you're not wasting anybody's time and you are actually asking a question. And if it is a question that hasn't been asked before, then I will most likely get it, put it up on a page. That way we have a whole amalgamation of different questions that have been asked, and just keep on adding on to it. That way any other type of questions can be answered easily. So do your work and don't waste anybody's time, especially even your own. There's plenty of resources out there.
Right.
So that being said, after you do your work, I'm sure if you don't mind, guys, hitting up the Instagram page so they can get their questions answered right here. Make sure that you're following Sergeant Sig Miller. He's going to be running the account here, so make sure you're hitting that up and that you are able to you know, get the information whenever it comes out, because I'm sure he's going to be updating with stuff that's going to be happening within the career field and stuff that you guys need to know about whenever, if you're interested in the SR career field. And again, we're not trying to like force anybody into any certain avenue that they don't want to go. We want guys that are, you know, motivated for you guys to go and do that career field that you're motivated to do, the mission set that you're motivated to do. Yeah, do you have anything else to say, or can you add anything about different type of mission sets? I know I kind of just said unilateral type of stuff, but anything you see for the future of that integration with PJs? Like, are you going to be able to possibly go on the same mission set type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, from my side of the house, we keep talking about how our mission capabilities will complement the PR mission, the what the PJs do. So the way we see it, that try not to exceed talking about stuff that necessarily hasn't been put out yet, but we're working to work together as special warfare guys to solve all of our problems. So there's a lot of things that SR can do to help the PJs out. There's a lot of stuff that they can do to help us out. So I've seen some questions about like, hey, are there going to be SR medics? And I'm like, why would I need an SR medic when I have the best rescue guys in the world that I can just pull from off another team and be like, come with me, you know, do a quick train up. You're on our team now. And we'll get you where you need to go. And if anything happens, you're the man. So, and the same with like a precision strike, right? Like if we need to get them somewhere, if we need to get intel gathering equipment somewhere, or another person somewhere, like this is how it happens. So, like on the CRIF teams, the recce guys would take their Air Force counterparts out there with them, right? And then I think we had a PJ on the assault team. So, so that's kind of how it all works out. So like we would have attachments, we'd all work with each other to accomplish all the different missions, and also the enabling mission, if that's absolutely necessary to fulfill mission requirements. But I think working together is absolutely going to happen, and working by ourselves. Like even my last rotation, it was kind of cool. I was the team sergeant for a special tactics team. So it was just Air Force bros going where we went, doing what we did. And like I said, we worked with the SEAL team once, but they were just there to, you know, watch the perimeter and once, you know, watch our backs while we were doing our job. So it was pretty cool. I think that's the way forward.
Sweet. I'm excited for all these guys that are going to be able to do this and, you know, integrate together. I wish that we would have been able to do more of it ourselves, you know, like back in the day. You know, I was at the SCS unit and they used to just like, you know, PJs go off. I went with the CCT guys sometimes, but I never got to deploy with any of the other SAUTs or now SR guys, because they kind of did their own deployment type of schedule. So I'm excited that not only from deployment aspect, but, you know, from day one or even pre-day ones, if you guys are able to link up prior to you getting into the Air Force, you guys know each other from like the ground up when you guys are little conehead babies running around freaking Medina, and then all the way up until you guys are deployed to Afghanistan, Syria, or wherever you guys go. You can follow each other through and know like this guy. Oh yeah, I went through this team with this guy, and I went through Friggin Freefall School with this guy. So it's pretty exciting that you guys get to have that team aspect straight out the gate and continue working with all these guys that you're going to be working with in the future. And
What?
The possibilities of aircraft and mission set are going to be super exciting for you guys.
Yeah, and just keep in mind that there's opportunities for that, but also like even when you get to training, people don't forget stuff. So your reputation starts day one or earlier. It's a small community and people don't forget. So I would say be the best that you can be every day. Don't be Johnny on the spot, Spotlight Ranger, whatever it is. And you guys have an opportunity right now before you even join to start being competitive with each other. If you think that we're all just like mamby-pamby in the team room and we're not still hyper competitive and hyper honest with each other, that's the beauty of the environment. You know, that's the beauty of the teams is that's just how we are and how we work with each other. So start that stuff now. Start competing with each other and show up ready to compete. And you know, when your buddy needs some help, you should be there to help him. But you can't be that guy that needs help every day, or girl or whatever. So your reputation is everything, and you need to be competitive in everything that you do moving forward.
Exactly. And also, just to talk about the Spotlight Ranger thing, is those guys that basically when I was going through Indoc, those guys that were like, well, I've been swimming freaking 8,000 meters every day, blah, blah, blah. And like, I can hold my breath for 4 minutes. Like, the truth is going to come out whether you like it or not. Like, you're going to all go through the same training. And those guys were the first ones to quit because they just could not. Even when I was an instructor, it was the same way. Like, the guys that were the loudest and they're like, well, I've been doing this forever, and they're, you know, super cocky. They're the ones that ended up quitting first because they couldn't get past themselves and get over themselves and open their eyes to see that it's not about just them. It's about teamwork, just what we all preach. Like, it's about looking at the guy next to you and doing the mission. It doesn't matter how much you can do more than this guy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but obviously in a competitive way, after you're done, like, hey, how'd you do on that thing? Yeah. But it's not it's not the showboat and say, everyone look at me.
No,
kind of thing.
No. It's just the mentality, I think, more than anything is.
Yeah. You're always in the back of your head, like, dang it, that guy's doing so many more push-ups than me. I'm not going to let that happen. Yeah.
Yep. Better beat him on the run. I'm going to smoke
him. He might get me on this freaking push-ups, but I'm going to get him on the run. Yeah. Yeah, just think of it in the back of your head. Be a silent professional, like everyone's on about, kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Hopefully, you know, I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of questions after we're done with this. So hopefully we can compile more questions, get them together, and then put them up on the site. Whatever you get, we're gonna continue to work together. And as much as, you know, whenever you want to come back on here and answer more questions because you're getting bombarded and you're just getting hundreds, then we can come on here, answer more questions about, you know, more specific type of stuff. But like I said, this is going to be up on YouTube. So you guys go ahead and check it out after 24 hours on here, you know, it goes away or whatever. So check it up on YouTube, and then check out the fact page over at bapj.com on the resources tab. And I have Sergeant Siegmiller's or Miss Trent Siegmiller's questions up there that he pretty much answered. We went down some of the list up here, but the high yield, shortened type of sentences we put up on the actual website. That way you get a straightforward answer, read at your own pace kind of thing. And do your research before you ask. I appreciate you coming on here and talking to these guys. I know that there are a lot of people that are going to be really excited about the SR career field after they've heard all the stuff that you have to say about this stuff. And, you know, I'm pretty excited for the future, like I said.
I appreciate you bringing me on, man. Like, I'm not good at, you know, the social media stuff and all that other thing. So appreciate all your help and bringing this to the forefront for us.
No problem. Like I said, we're all part of the same team, and in the future, all these guys are going to work together, whatever they're doing. So hopefully we can bring them all together and we can move forward. That way everyone makes a intelligent decision on whatever kind of career field and whatever they want to do for their career in the Air Force. It's awesome. All right, so appreciate it, and I will talk to you whenever we come on here next. All right.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, later.
All right. So, like I said, be courteous to Trent. He's on here taking time out of his own day to come here and answer you guys' questions. If you guys have any other questions about it, you can also hit me up as well, and then I can go to him, ask him questions, or any other career field. Then I'll get you guys the answer as much as possible. I'm still answering all the DMs, all the emails that you guys have for me. Brian at howtobeapj.com. Make sure you guys hit up the resources. All right, so make sure you guys hit up the resources that you guys have over at beapj.com, especially the Comm Connect. You guys should be working out with each other and making sure that you are prepared as possible, meeting your team prior to you actually showing up and using the resources that you have available at your fingertips. Like I said, hit me up with any questions you guys have. And I'm sorry, this is for YouTube guys. I have my camera over here and then this other camera so that you guys have a better view whenever on YouTube. So that's why there's a little camera difference here, and I was looking over here, is because I want to make sure that you have a better aspect and be able to see everything. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I appreciate all of you guys that watched, especially those of you that stayed to the end. If you guys need anything, let me know. I'll be here for you. All right, talk to you later.